And to make the blade fit in here, I'm going to have to start cutting it like this all the way through. And then grind the small pieces away. This piece is the D guard where it meets the hand. This is the handle where my hand is, and this is where the blade is, so that the blade can sit in here. Okay, so most of this is grind away so that that fits right in here. That recessed the blade of the guard there. This is going to be welded here. This is going to be welded there. I cut this so that it can fit and be bent. Then I'm going to cut a little bit here, recess this piece here, and that goes there. And then these pieces would be all welded together. And here's the blade. Here's the quilling. Here's the D guard, and the D comes out. That's the notch that I did here inside the notch that fits the blade here. I'm going to weld the quilling on. For the first time I can weld properly, because when I found out on the internet that you can use soda stream bottle that makes soda stream drinks like bubbly fizzly water, and you can use that. Look, it says soda stream on it, and that gas is cheap. The bottle cost me $35 with the bottle, and that subsequent refill with this empty bottle is only like $15 at your local Canadian Tire. Then it cost me $25 for this regulator, and now I can with the MIG gas, which is now this is just CO2 gas, does the same job, and it could give me a half decent weld. I thought I was a really bad welder, but now I'm gonna start welding this part here. So much. It's quite a bit better weld now compared to what I used to do. Wow, this is like magic. These welds, for me, these welds are amazing. That's gonna grind away and see if I can get any penetration to when I grind away, to see if this comes off, or if there's any gaps, to see that if the weld actually penetrated both pieces of metal. Good. After I grind away, it almost looks like this, and this is one piece of steel. Now I go and grind away this part here. Amazing. Both sides grinded. You can barely tell that this was two-piece. Just looks like it was one piece of metal all the time. Okay, so far so good. As you can see, this just fits right in the slot, and then that just fits right in. Then I'm just gonna weld this on when it's ready. These two pieces welded together really nicely. That goes like this. This piece like that is identical to this piece. It's identical to this piece. Let's go there. That's the left. That's the right. And then this piece goes like this. Somehow. Don't know how yet, but somehow. Like that. I begin sanding off this, starting to make the grind. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing, but all I know is that I need to make it a little bit thinner here and leave it thick here so that the weight, you want the tip of the blade to be a bit lighter, not all that weight on the tip, and thicker here. So this is thick and this should go slowly thin. I don't have a big grinding wheel, so I don't know what's going to happen to this grind here. Probably there's just going to be no grind at all. I'll see as I go. So right now I've quickly taped the quill in here and taped the D.I.Y pieces there before I'm going to assemble it, because I want to know where this is going to balance. And I want it to balance just about 2 inches from my index finger. So my index finger is here, and I want it to balance just about here. Knowing that this is quite a heavy sword. I have weighed this on the scale with everything on it, but obviously I'm missing the piece of wood for the handle. I'll account for that, but right now it weighs in quite heavy, around 1 kilo or 1,000 grams. So this is at the limit where I want my sword to be. So from here on in, I'm going to start taking some weight off of the blade here at the tip. And I am going to also take off some weight at the end of this sword to lighten it just a little bit, so that I'm not going to go over 1,000 grams. Because once I add the wooden handle, then it's going to be a little bit heavier than 1,000 grams. So right now the balance is pretty good. It's balancing right here. And right here is about 2 inches from my index finger. So both, I will be taking off some weight here to make this a little bit more of a distill taper. Distill taper means that it's thinner at the tip of the blade here and leaving the base of the blade thick. So I'm going to have to grind down this a little bit. So there's a rough grind here, and I'm not going to give any grind on the other side. The back side is going to be completely flat. So these are right-handed. This is a right-handed sword, and it will only go on the right hand, and the other sword is going to be a left-hand sword and it will only go on the left hand. So now I'm trying it out with this one already more or less the weight without the handle. I put this on, and then I'm just going to just to see what the balance is. Would this balance work before I weld and polish and grind the blade, so that I know at this point if I need to take, if it was more too blade heavy, then I would take more metal off of the blade here, and if it's too handle heavy here, then I would grind more material off from the handle. So before finishing everything, I like to look ahead, because once I finish everything, I can't go back. So that's why I'm looking at the weight right now and balancing it right now. So if this was a lighter saw, like let's say if this wasn't 2.2 pounds, let's say if this was like 1.2 to 1.4 pounds, if it's a lighter saw, then you don't need the balance to be 2 inches from your index finger this close. For lighter saw, you want the balance to be maybe 2.5 inches, or maybe even if it's a very light saw, maybe the saw, if it's only 1 pound, you may want it to have it balanced at, let's say, 3 inches from your index finger, because you want to put some weight into the blade when the saw is really, really light. When it's a heavy saw, and for my size, I would consider a 1 kilo saw starting to be on the heavy side. So because it's a heavy saw, you want the balance not to be 3 inches, you want it to be 2 inches, or maybe even 1 3/4 inch balance from your index finger. So in that case, the weight of the saw is closer to your arm, so you can easily manipulate it. So here I'm going to try out the saw. See if it's really maneuverable. Yes, I need a little bit more weight here because I will be putting the wooden handle. But all in all, it's not a bad balance sword. I think it kind of works, and I'm not gonna polish this sword. I don't have a polishing wheel, and I don't have a lot of good polishing compound, so I'm just gonna leave it like kind of slightly rough. I love the lines of the sanding lines that are coming down here. It gives it a really genuine looking, rough looking kind of look. So I think I'm on my way to finishing this in the next few episodes. Okay, the quilling and this top of the D-guard has been welded on. This is all flat on this side. Unfortunately, I slipped while I was grinding. I slipped and I made a little dimple here and a little mark there. I don't know if I can fix this. And the welds here are not so nice. I'm gonna see if I could clean it up by putting some welds more on this indentation and then fixing it. Okay, so now that I've done one with a wooden handle, and I am waiting for the glue to set. I have the bottom piece of the D-guard. Now I just have to do these two. The D for the D-guard. I left that out so that I can go in with the sander and grinder and finish the handle first. Because if I did the D first, then I wouldn't be able to put a sanding belt inside here to grind the inside. But now that I realize doing this first, I'm afraid that the heat from the welding of the D here is going to heat up this piece of metal. And usually, from my experience, what happens is when this metal gets heat up, the glue, the epoxy that's in the handle gets separated. So we're going to have to see what happens. I'm going to try it out. Maybe I'm gonna have to dunk this in water every now and then when I'm doing this, because there's going to be a lot of welding over here when I'm doing the D. This is the other one. The other one hasn't been I don't have the wood for the other one yet. I didn't do it. So seems to be coming along fine. I got some black wood finish after sanding the handle, because I don't have like Marcaida, or I don't have ebony wood, so I do have this wood finish that's black, because this is a maple, the only kind of wood I have on hand. But maple is really, really light in color, so I used a black wood finish, and I didn't like it. It's not dark enough, so I've used printer's ink for my printer. And I think the printer's ink actually works better. It's kind of more black. Sprinkle some of this. And hope for the best. Here I'm working on the second blade. The inside here I have to do by hand. The first one I made a mistake of putting the handle first, so I wanted to get the grinder through here so that I can sand off the wooden handle. So I thought I was doing it better, so that I did the handle first, and then I had trouble sanding here, because when I sand here I couldn't sand into the handle, so it was not fun. It was a lot of problems sanding around, and I made a lot of problems. So forget it. I do the sword first, handle last. I put the fan right into the motor for the grinder, so that I could pretty much run it indefinitely without worrying the motor overheating at all. And this apron works perfectly with all this welding and grinding, all the slag sparks shooting into this thing. Really helps protect me